Well, what I would like to offer you today is really more an affirmation than it is new information or revelation. And picking up on the theme of this conference, situated as we are here in historic Shippensburg, it's a great time to reflect on what is really the soul of what we do. It's the tool of our trade. It's conversation. It's that one-on-one relationship. I would like to begin by just asking you two questions. One, just a thought question for your head, all right? And then another, ask you to raise your hands. But let's start with the first one, right? I'd like you to think back to the last time you had a really meaningful conversation with someone, one-on-one, face-to-face, lasting 30 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe longer, and about something that was really important to at least one of you, okay? Just think about that, about the last time that you had that experience, okay? Now, for the second question, I'd like to ask you, how many of you, well, I guess I should say, think about, too, how often you have that experience. Outside, really, of the writing center, or outside of your family, or outside of any relationship with a spouse, or partner, or boyfriend, girlfriend, anyone like that. So these would be with friends or something like that. How often that occurs, right? Now, let me ask you to raise your hand if you would like to have that opportunity, that experience, more often than you do. Did you raise your hand? Yeah, well, that's what I thought. Right? That's what I thought. This is something we really crave, and we wish for as often as it happens, and only you know how often that occurs to you. For as often as it happens, we wish it would happen even more. And that's because this conversation that we have with one another is really very basic to us. It's boiled into our DNA. It is something that is so important that it actually comes quite easily to the human species. Many species have some kind of call and response. Only human beings have conversations. But as I said, it's so integral to the nature of who we are that it's actually part of our genetic history. Now, let me define that just a little bit, because when I say conversation, I don't mean chit-chat, and I don't mean debate. I think chit-chat is maybe more superficial than what I'm thinking about. Debate is too adversarial. Even dialogue is not quite the same thing. That's a little more abstract than what I'm going for here. I'm going for that experience that is, as I said, face-to-face, that is meaningful, that is on some topic that's important to one or both of you, involves mutual respect, and where you can have that lost-in-the-moment feeling, even for just a little while. There are many things that you could say about conversation. One I've already mentioned, and that's just how basic I believe it is. And to think about that, I think you just reflect on our earliest moments. A baby cries, mother soothes the baby, pretty soon the baby stops crying, and the mother pays closer attention, smiles when the baby makes another kind of sound. And it kind of goes back and forth that way. Pretty soon the baby figures it out, grows up, goes to college, becomes a writing center tutor. So it's very basic. It's also intentional. It requires effort. Yogi Berra said, philosopher, baseball player Yogi Berra said, it's hard to get a good conversation going when you have too many people talking. And I think what he was saying is, sometimes you have to actually get away from the idle talk or the chit-chat to have a good conversation. It takes work. It takes finding a place, it takes building a relationship, sometimes quickly. It takes a lot of repairing of the relationship sometimes in order to have that good conversation. There are many people in this world, maybe even in this room, who would love to have a conversation with somebody that they can't right now. They're just not in a position, just not ready for that. But they recognize just how important it would be to have a good conversation for even 30 minutes or an hour. And third, a conversation, the kind that I'm talking about, is moving. It stirs us. Has some sort of impact. As I heard one tutor say when we were talking yesterday, tutoring turns on light bulbs in the writer's head, because conversation's power to move us comes from deep within. And I would add to that, we experience a connection with another human being when we look them in the eyes, they look back at us, and we give life to the thoughts in our heads through the free exchange of words and gestures. It moves us.